what does it mean to have a healthy relationship, and how important is that in your overall wellness? Well, we have relationships that are intimate, friendly, sometimes it's professional. We have a number of different relationships. And what I'd like you to do is stop to think about when a time when somebody brought something to you and it was something that you didn't have a say in, and it was an uncontrollable situation. So it could be you just lost your job, someone just broke up with you, or something along the like of that. You think about, all right, what's the basis of this? What caused this? Several things can go in your mind. One is you can think, this is going to be forever. It's never going to change. This cause, I'll never be a professional. I'll never get a relationship, something along that line. This results in long-lasting helplessness. Global. The cause is going to affect everything rather than some specific thing. So if somebody breaks up with me, then it's going to impact my life for a period of time, not just I'll never have another relationship again. If it's internal, the cause is me. Well, I must be the fault of it. It's not something outside of me. It's something that I caused. People who use stable or internal causes are at risk for something called learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is when you have uncontrollable bad events and you perceive it as, I have no control over this, and so I can't change anything. Everything is kind of going to be, it is what it is. So the passive resignation produced by repeated exposure to negative events that are perceived to be unavoidable. This is a sense of this helplessness is learned, which means it can be acquired. It can happen if you just have a string of things that happen that you sense as being really negative. You can learn to say, oh my gosh, this is never going to change, or I must be the problem. Learned helplessness is about how you respond to failure, and it is a control problem, not a competence problem, and it can be learned. So if you can learn how to be helpless, that means you can learn to be optimistic. And some key individuals in the field of psychology have identified something or developed a perspective, and it's Seligman said we can learn to be positive. So if we can condition, if negative thoughts can be conditioned, so can positive thoughts. So this branch of psychology introduces a way to look at challenges and allow you to learn from them and thrive. And this involves being more optimistic. So optimists, you can learn to be optimistic if you can learn to be helpless. Optimists see problems as events that can be resolved. They don't say, I'm the problem. If something happens to you externally, you're not always the problem. I'm sure you've heard somebody say, it's not all about you. That's kind of looking at it like, oh, it must be me. Optimists are motivated to face a problem and deal with them or resolve them or to respond in a different way. Optimists are more likely to take action that they're proactive. They take action to get treatment when they're sick or they're hurt. They'll do things to avoid bad experiences, and they also tend to cultivate friendships, good relationships, where pessimists tend to isolate themselves. And what Seligman emphasized is that optimists are unfazed by defeat. Confronted by a bad situation, they perceive it as a challenge and try harder. And you can learn how to change your perspective. Mind-body scientists have identified personality traits that are effective in helping us stay happy, healthy, promote happiness. Optimism helps you adopt healthy traits, strengthen ability to relate to others. These traits help us in a myriad of ways. You can confide, you can speak in an assertive, not aggressive manner. You can sense having control over the quality of life. You can commit to one's work, creative activities, and relationships. View life as a challenge. You can identify how others need help and help others not out of obligation, but out of kindness. You can recognize that you are a complex individual, that you have many components to you in your personality. So you're not just one thing, a person who can't, why bother, but you see that you're a complex individual. These traits are linked to something called the immune power personality. Other qualities for a positive outlook. Well, one is emotional resilience. An emotional resilient individual can bounce back after difficult or trying situations. This individual can have good communication, be able to care for others, and learn from a challenge and not see it as a threat. Flow means that you can fully engage in an activity and find kind of a lost in time and really enjoy what you're doing. And people will find this in reading, in writing, and sometimes in studying. We know that every individual has a unique mind-body relationship, and the importance is to learn and develop your own and increasingly learn to trust your own sense of connection. Healthy communication involves several components, and touching and relating can actually be really effective to promote healing for the individual. And that can be a touch on the shoulder, it can be patting someone's hand or patting their forearm with you asking, "Can I?" first. Confiding is being able to share intimate or private items or pieces of information or details with another individual. That gives you an opportunity for receiving social support. Listening is more challenging than what you think. It's not just a simple factor of having your ears open. There's an acronym, HPHE, on the slide that identifies some ways to demonstrate that you have a healthy listening skill. H is for hugs or some sort of appropriate touch. Can I give you a hug? Can I touch your shoulder if it's someone that you don't already have that relationship with? Empathy means that you are listening not with "I'm so sorry," but you're interested in what somebody is saying. Your words and body language indicate that you understand. You lean forward, you make eye contact with that person as you're listening. Attention means that you make sure that the person knows that you're focusing on him, her, or them. So perhaps it's making eye contact, but it's not being on your phone, for example. L, listening. Try first to understand what that person is saying before you give recommendations or shoulds. And I'm not a should fan, by the way. T, give the person time to speak and share. Don't rush them. Hear means that you respond back. What I hear you saying is that you're really frustrated that. That allows the person to say, oh, no, that's not what I'm saying, and to clarify. Or it identifies to the person that you're really hearing what they're saying. Yielding means you put aside other concerns and you pay full attention to the individual who's talking to you. Be aware of how you express yourself, whether you are speaking or listening. Aggressiveness could be perceived as bullying. And aggressiveness is not based on respect, but it's more responsive and has more bite to it. Assertiveness is honesty and not being unkind, but it's respectful for both parties. Passiveness is just shutting down. So do you express yourself as an aggressive individual, assertive individual, or a person who just won't talk? So there's body language. Realizing a person can't control how you feel, avoiding eye contact, fidgeting, hiding, slouching, glaring. When the first one, realizing a person can't control how you feel, is more of an assertive. Avoiding eye contact, fidgeting, is more passive. Glaring, tight fists, angry, is aggressive. So our body language definitely gives an open perception of how we're communicating, both on the listening side and the speaking side. When you want to be a confident you're always communicating. You're always communicating. You want to have integrity, and what people will say 95% of the time, and I just made that number up, but what most people want in a relationship is trust. And trust and integrity is something that we develop, and it gives a person, presenting yourself in that way really is a meaningful relationship building behavior. Developing, as we develop relationships, when you don't have to compare yourself to others, that's allowing people to do well and to be happy for them. Awesome. And just being present and relating to nature can really have a big impact. So when you need to step away, that's important. So each of these benefit wellness and improve relationships with others. Long-term relationships also are important. And what we know is that individuals that have long-term relationships, now these bullets are as a result of what researchers have evaluated from married couples, but it also can be translated, or these benefits can also apply to close relationships with a partner, friend, or a parent. So you'll see that individuals have better health, happier life, better health indices, less depression, less substance abuse. And so we end up having that longer life, better health, all associated with feeling connected and valued and feeling like you belong. Those are all important for a long, healthy, happy life. And having an intimate relationship doesn't necessarily mean that you have a sexual relationship, although we talk about sexual intimacy. That uses like a one-time only is probably passionate sexual intimacy, or after when you have a long-term relationship or an established relationship with an individual that you have sexual intimacy with, that's more compassion, affection, genuine trust, concern, and well-being for the other. But you can have an intimate relationship with a friend, a parent, a significant other that you're not having sexual contact with, and that is important for giving you a deepening, building relationship with all. So we have honesty, trust, feelings of belonging, approval. When you know you've got someone that you can turn to and you can be honest with, that builds your relationship with all. Loneliness is not living alone, but it is feeling isolated. Living alone does not mean that you're lonely. A person can live with roommates and feel lonely. They feel isolated, unconnected. It can lead to mental despair, depression, illness. And so it's not about having many relationships. It's about having good quality connections and finding that few group, that small group in some cases of individuals that you really feel connected with. You don't have to have 500 people on your Facebook feed or a big number of people on your social. It's about the quality of connections that you have. And recognize that there's always a choice. Your relationships are going to be even better when you take responsibility for how you have made mistakes, errors, or whatever. So don't blame or say, I had no choice, or this is the way I am. Deal with it. You want to work on accepting maybe you were sharp that day, maybe you were unkind. Accept that you were unkind and that you just didn't behave in a proper way when a person needed you, and take ownership of that and identify that apologize for what that behavior was, and commit to doing better. No one can make you angry, sad, or whatever. It's how you perceive them and how you accept it. That goes back to that learned happiness. You can feel guilty and sad, but that is really a response that you have. It's not what somebody did to you. The only person that can change is yourself. And be gentle with yourself. Don't take it as a fault, but an area that you can improve on. Be accountable for your action, and that will lead to more happiness and positive relationships. And it takes effort, time, and with a wonderful benefit. So we want to have long-term relationships. We can learn to be positive. No one needs to feel helpless. We can practice our communication skills, find things that you love, find things that you can engage in and feel good about, and realize that it takes your whole being to have wholeness and balance in healthy relationships. Sometimes we have to let individuals go if they are not bringing the best out of us. The best relationships can suck the life out of you. And it's important to invest in individuals that are supportive, that will build your sense of self, and have good communication skills. It's important for your own personal health. And with that, we'll go ahead and stop.